All right, so I looked at the last video that I took of this swarm trap, and it was kind of discombobulated, we'll call it, in its presentation. So I want to go in this a little more detail because I've gotten really good response on these swarm traps, both from my own personal successes and people telling me that they like them. So let's talk about what it takes. So this bucket you can get at Walmart. It's an 18-gallon bucket. Every Walmart I have been in has them in large quantities. You can get them in a variety of colors. At the time of year I bought mine, they had Easter colors. I've gotten them in gray as well. That's the first thing you need. The second thing you need is going to be this wood that we're going to use both for our hanger. You can see it there for the hanger, and I just have the hole cut out there for the nail that I put in the tree. And I've got the screws over here that I've talked about before. Now you'll see I've got some straggler bees on here too that are just kind of hanging out. There's some resources in here from another colony. That's the sprayed colony. So these bees are just kind of going in and cleaning up. The wood that you'll buy comes in 12-foot lengths. Now, when I buy it, I go in Home Depot. They have a little thing to cut it in the baseboard section. So I cut it in half. So I cut it into two 6-foot lengths. And then for these runner boards that you're going to put your frames on, I measure them out to be 15 inches each. So of the 72 inches, you're going to use 30 inches for your frame board mounting, basically. This one I put a little bit too tight, a little bit tighter than I like. You can measure accordingly. It's easiest if you have a frame in to measure how wide apart they are. But you can see these screws, and you'll also notice that this is very well waxed on the inside. So it is lots of wax on the inside that I put afterwards. This swarm trap had a little colony in it that I picked up. This one didn't catch a swarm. I put a swarm in it and they immediately started building out. So that's why you see that build out there. And then you can also see they built that out and they built that out. So they will treat it like it's a regular colony as soon as they get in here. So we got these sideboards, the runner boards that your frames go on, those are 15 inches. And then whatever's left over is what I use for this hanger board. You'll notice I've got two screws in it with the nuts. And then over here, I've got the screws in the handle that go through the handle of the bucket and the nuts on those as well. Now I'm using only the zinc screws. Like I've talked about before, they're number 8, 32 thread, 3/4 inch screws in zinc. And then I'm using the locking nuts, the nylon locking nuts that go on those. So the other interesting thing on here, it gives them a lot of room underneath. You'll see there's plenty of room underneath for them to build out. So they can do all the build out they want under there. The other thing here is the RPB Works entrance disc. This is the 5-inch entrance disc sold by RPB Works. You can see where I went a little bit liberal with the waxing, and it actually came through there and clogged up some of those holes. I can clean that up. I'm using AJC washers on the outside. So that's a B. AJC, AJB, it doesn't really matter which one you use. Either one you can pick up. And then under here, we've got spacers. You can see the spacers there. Those are AAA washers. I just used 3 of them. And that gives me the perfect distance so that this moves easily between the 3 different, or 4 if you really wanted to close it off completely, 4 different modes on the RPB Works 5-inch entrance disc. So like I've talked about before, cost-wise, you're going to spend about $7 on a bucket. It's $6 and some change at Walmart for the bucket. The wood is about $1, I think it's $1.20 a foot. So you're going to spend $7.20 on the wood. Sorry, I had a bee on me. And then you're going to spend whatever you spend on wax. There's probably, I don't know, there's not a pound of wax in there, but I did put quite a bit of wax in there. I'm pretty generous on the waxing. The entrance disc from RPB Works costs what it costs. I think it's $4 or $3, somewhere in there. But that's really all of your cost. And then you're gonna have the screws and the nuts from wherever. The process that I use to actually put it together is cut my wood, my rails in 15-inch lengths, and then leave this to the side. And then I use a drill to drill through both the lid. You can see the hole in the lid there, and the side piece. This one was an earlier version. I've started drilling up through the bottom, because if you try to drill down through the top, you end up getting that where you miss. Notice I missed right there, which is not that big of a deal for a swarm trap. But if you come up through the bottom, you're gonna hit it right every time. You want a drill bit that is thicker than your piece of wood. Something I didn't do here. On this version, I was using a jigsaw and just kind of drilled some holes with a drill bit and then went with the jigsaw and came in and cut it out. So it's pretty sloppy, but there's better ways to do it now. So with the drill bit, I'll actually go through and then I'll just push the drill bit along and it'll eat that plastic up, no problem. Over here to cut your entrance hole, you're gonna use a 1.5-inch paddle and it will drill that entrance hole out for you. And that is, you'll notice, perfect on size. 1.5-inch paddle is all you need. And then it's just a matter of going in and making sure these are spaced properly and then drilling your holes. I actually drill my holes with the wood on it. So I drill it straight down, straight through the wood, and then I attach my nuts to the screws accordingly, and it's ready to go. So this is the, it's funny because people call it the $6 bucket. That's B-math for you. The $6 bucket at Walmart, because it's $6.97, I believe, at walmart.com. So I'm not into the B-math. That's a $7 bucket. I'm spending about $7 on the wood. I'm spending about $4 on the entrance disc, and then maybe $1 in screws and washers tops. So we're really right like $23, $24 for the whole thing, plus whatever you're gonna spend on the frames you put inside, but the frames you're gonna use in other places or swap them out as you need to. So this is the long version of how do I make this swarm trap. I've so far caught 3 wild swarms in them, and also they have been very handy when I've gone out to pull swarms out of trees where the whole, you cut the branch off the tree, the whole branch easily fits in this bucket normally. So it's very generous. You can easily fit 8 frames across in this bucket if you need to. And if you really want to push it, you can get 10 frames in there. You can fit 9 frames easily rather, and then the 10th frame is kind of a stretch, but you can get it in there. And then, like I've said before, if you really want these outside corners to be held together, if you're really concerned about that, you can buy clamps at Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace Hardware or wherever. They're about $1 each, and you can just clamp it shut if you're really concerned about it. I've never been that concerned about it. I haven't had any issues. I've used this thing for picking up swarms out of trees. I've used this thing for picking up swarms out of water meters, and I've used it to catch catch swarms on my property, and it's done great every time. So just a great little tool to use in beekeeping to grow your bee yard without spending a lot of money. So that's one of the tricks that I've learned through the year that I've been a beekeeper, and I hope it helps you. Always a great day at Nebo Farm as we're taking care of the bees. Thank you.